Clark here at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Sunday? I'm doing great. My girl's doing great. My family's doing great. Hope each and every one of you are doing great. And I hope you had a great weekend. If you could please hit that like button, subscribe button, and that bell notification button so you get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that'd be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of most of my videos. So what's up, man? Hope you had a great weekend, and I hope you're having a great Sunday. Busy week, busy couple weeks for me. Just a lot going on in my life. It's just kind of how I live. You guys know that about me. And I hope that you guys are staying busy in a positive way. Today, I want to talk about the progression of criminality. How quickly does it occur? And do you notice it? Is it something that you're consciously aware of? So for me, I started out petty, right? I started out breaking into cars and just doing petty stuff, not even really thinking of myself as a criminal, right? But over time, it slowly changed and escalated more and more and more. And eventually I was kicking doors in, right? That was what I was doing. And the people I was around changed. I noticed that a lot of the people I was with in grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, when I kind of started, jumping off the porch, I guess you could say, changed. The people that I was hanging around with when I was 20 were different, and the people I was hanging around with when I was 25 were different. And it's something that you're not consciously aware of. But when I look back on it now, I can actually see the progression, the timeline, and the changes. And the changes really coincide with the people that you're hanging out with, right? I was never like a violent guy. I didn't want to be violent. I didn't want to hurt people physically. I just wanted to make guap, right? That was me. And early on, I was really the guy out of everybody in my circle that was doing anything. Everybody else, they might jump on board with me once in a while to make a little bit of extra cash. Or my one buddy used to go out with me at night and we'd break into cars, right? Like minor stuff, right? But as soon as they noticed the change in me and the people I was surrounding myself with, they had no choice but to distance themselves from me, which just pushes me more and more and more into that lifestyle. And then after each and every time you get knocked, and have to do any kind of a stretch, you're going to meet like-minded people who will probably eventually become at least somewhat of a homeboy. You'll probably meet 1, 2, 3 guys in years of time, like I did, that you would consider friends, but definitely escalated your behavior, your lifestyle as a whole, or just the way you even look at things in general. I know, for instance, for me, when I was young, when I first started, I wasn't like a cold-minded person, right? I just felt like a desperate need to have more than I was able to get from my family, or they were able to provide for me at that point in my life. So that kind of pushed me. But I noticed as the people I was with changed and their attitude was different, my attitude soon became different. And there was a stretch from maybe 18 to 22 or 23 where I really didn't care about anything at all. And when I look back on it now, the guys that I was rolling with didn't care about anything at all. And there was major consequences across the board for all of us. And that progression came more and more and more. I'm going to tell you a story, though. This was very, very early on in my teenage life. I had not really seen any major violence yet at this point. That wasn't really, even when I was knocked, like I'd see guys get jumped, things like that, but nothing super duper duper crazy, right? And this wasn't something I physically saw, but it happened to somebody that I knew and really close to home. So apparently a homie of mine had been up to some negative behaviors, right? Probably out jacking people, doing stick up kid things, right? And it backfired on him. And somebody rolled up to his door, knocked on his door. He opens the door and whoop, pop, 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 pop. 8 shots. Head shots, chest shots. Now that is clearly an intentional homicide, right? So as soon as that happened, and that was in, kind of my circle, it started clicking to me that, wow, this is a much different life than I was living even just a couple of years ago. Is a very different situation. And the people I was hanging out with got more and more and more and more serious. And eventually I was seeing some full-on crazy things. And I will say this. The people around me, knew what I didn't want to be involved in. And they were my dogs. And they never pushed me to be something that I wasn't. And that's how I knew they were actually my homeboys. But I was still around it. I was still at risk day after day after day. And you're not even thinking about it. Because if you're hanging out with people that are making these kind of decisions, you never know who might show up on your door and whoop, pop. You just don't know. You can't necessarily know all of the actions of the people around you, who they're into it with and their issues. This is something that's all going to stack up. And it's probably going to show its face at the wrong time. Now, I was blessed. The guys that I actually came up with all ended up being solid. And I never had a homie turn on me, except bed sheets, turn on me and try to force me to do some kind of major time for their actions. That's never personally happened to me, but there was definitely a major progression, and the actions of those around me could have definitely had major consequences on my life. And I lost friends. I lost relationships with people that I had grown up with for the actions of others. And this was just a reality and a consequence of the lifestyle choices that I was making in my life, right? And over the years, I slowly got more and more and more absorbed into this path and lifestyle that it kind of swallowed me up to a point where I almost threw my whole life away. I almost did. And I forced myself to handle the consequences of so many traumatic things. And just because I was lost. The system will chew you up and spit you out a few times, and they will convince you that you are worthless. They'll convince you that there's no hope for you. And they'll convince you that this is going to be your life for the rest of your life. You start believing it after a while. It starts seeming impossible to avoid it, actually. And for the longest time, I thought it was impossible to stay away from prison, jail, addiction. I thought it was impossible to avoid that because I had been brainwashed into believing that that was me. This was my fate. Loser. And I very quickly realized that just with a couple changes in behavior and the people that I associate with, and not that I don't have love for those dudes, but I just knew what I wanted, and it wasn't that. You're free to make whatever choices you want with your life, and I'm not going to hold that against you. If you're my homie, you're my homie. But for me, I just saw more for myself. And I'm not talking about being a gazillionaire or flying all around the world, living extravagantly. I'm just talking about being able to eat when I want, sleep when I want, in the kind of bed that I want, wear the clothes that I want, eat the food that I want, have a beautiful relationship with a beautiful woman like I do. These are all the things that you sacrifice by making those choices, and there is nobody who is consequence free. If they are, there's something weird about them, because you can only make these decisions so often before something goes wrong. Have you ever even had like a 10 or 15 year stretch in your life where absolutely everything went right? Doesn't matter what kind of a lifestyle you're living, that is not reality. Most of the time things go wrong and you feel amazing when they actually do go right. So there's only one result to making that lifestyle choice. There's two. It's the can or a corpse. Those are your only two choices. And it's just a matter of time. And it doesn't matter. You can even not be a criminal, just an addict, right? Party on the weekends, whatever. Fentanyl gonna get you one day. It seems to now not matter what it is. It's possible for anything to be contaminated with it, whether on purpose or by accident. You could figure if somebody has a ditch, a scale, right? And they weigh this on it, they weigh this on it, they weigh this on it. Contamination, that tiny little amount could kill any of us, right? So I think by the point of this video is just to explain to you that there is no progression, There is no good criminal, There is no way to avoid meeting these people that you're going to eventually associate with and making the choices that you make more drastic and more drastic and more drastic. It's the school of hard knocks. You're going to learn that way if you're in that life. And you're not going to have a chance. The only person who can change that is you. Is you. Nobody else. The only person who can make you live a happy life is you. Nobody's going to save you. And I had to realize that. There was a point where I thought somebody one day was just going to come to me, smack me upside my head, and everything was going to get better. Like my parents, I was just having fun. I could shut it off whenever I wanted. But that was not a reality. It was tumbling downhill over and over and over and over until I decided that I needed to do something different. Go to treatment. Change my life. Obviously, I share my stories with you guys so you don't have to go through these things yourselves. If I could snap my finger, nobody is locked up, nobody deals with addiction, nobody deals with being broke. That's what I do, but that's not a reality, especially in 2023. It's hard out here, ribs is touching, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and sometimes that can land you in a bad situation. Hopefully, my videos will help you not make those bad choices. The progression is inevitable. It is going to happen. And eventually you're going to be one of those dudes who's all of a sudden on a body, wasn't expecting it to happen, caught up on something he wasn't even involved in because somebody pointed a finger at him. It's going to end in an L. And for me, it almost ended in 20 L's. 17 years, man. That's life on the installment plan. That's what that is. So learn from me. Learn from me. Treat people good. Work really hard, right? Find a passion, something that you are good at, something that you're not only good at, but you could see yourself doing. Come up with a creative idea to make money off of that thing. It's possible. And it's not about being rich. It's about being rich on life and experience, not money. Now, money's great. Don't get me wrong. Everybody needs money. But when you make those certain choices in your life, you're going to see this drastic progression in time, and you're going to see this drastic regression in your lifestyle, your bank account, things that you own. I never owned anything until I made those changes. If you're here, you're worth it. You have purpose. I truly believe that. So, if you're watching this video, just think, I went from breaking into cars, right? Nothing. Breaking into cars is nothing. I wouldn't even smash windows. I'd literally just see if they were unlocked, okay? I went from that to breaking into houses, right? That's something that I moved to. And then I went to being around guys that were doing way more serious things. Despite the fact that I wasn't necessarily doing them, I was around it. And that in itself put me at risk. And I was hanging around with dudes that were involved in gangs. And that in itself put me at risk, despite the fact that I wasn't. Casuals get smoked all the time. Hang-arounds, buddies, bros, they do. And these are the consequences, I guess, that we take for granted. We think could never happen to us. Well, think again. It will happen to you. Love each and every one of you. The new Matt Clark.